Good afternoon, Al Capone. Thank you for giving us the chance to interview you personally. To start off, tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm often known as Al Capone, but my full name is Alphonse Gabriel Capone. I was born in Brooklyn, New York on January 17, 1899. I was raised in a family of 11, including my parents who immigrated from Naples, Italy, and had my siblings and I.
What was your childhood like?
My childhood was very hard as I was a poor boy raised from parents who were immigrants. We were living in a small tenement and just trying to make a living with my father being a barber and my mother being a seamstress. As a child, there was nothing exciting and memorable that happened, especially when it came to school.
Interesting. What school did you attend to?
I went to public school 7.
As a child, did you consider liking school?
No, I attended school until 6th grade. I was a promising student, but I was expelled and I decided to quit school.
What were your reasons on deciding to quit school?
Well, when I was 14, I lost my temper on a female teacher. She hit me, so I decided to hit her back, and the principal gave me a painful beating. That's when I decided to never come back. I mean, I was still a child. Another reason on why I quit school was when I was 5 years old. At school, there were teachers that couldn't stand immigrant children. Teachers often used physical force as an act for discipline.
Were those the reasons you started to get involved with gangs?
Yes, when I was in 6th grade, my marks staggeringly dropped, and my father decided to move the family to 21 Garfield Place, where it led me to the future I have now. I joined 2 local street gangs, the Brooklyn Rippers and the 40 Thieves Juniors.
When you joined the gang, did you feel accepted and did you see them as your family?
Of course, the leader of the group, Johnny Torrio, who's also Italian, was already a good friend of mine. When I was 20 years old, he called me to join his gang in Chicago so that I can manage one of his brothels, a small place with prostitutes. We were like sidekicks, and I learned a lot from running the business and maintaining respect.
At the time, is that what you started your career in organized crimes?
Yes, ultimately, I was learning a lot from Johnny Torrio on how to run the business in prostitution and gambling. However, in 1920, when prohibition started, Johnny Torrio saw a better profitable field, which is bootlegging. I saw it as a huge potential. I started to use my street smart to contribute in the operation.
I am aware that your famous nickname is Scarface, as you have scars on your face. How did you get those scars?
Well, it's a funny story. While I was at the brothel, I insulted a girl, and her brother punched me and slashed me across the face, leaving me with 3 horrible scars. I earned that nickname, but I really hate it.
While being in the business, were you by any chance married?
Yes, I married May Coughlin when I was 19 years old. We had a son, Albert Francis Capone, or as we like to call him, Sonny.
How was your life throughout all of it, after you joined Johnny Torrio's gang?
Well, Johnny Torrio left to go to Italy and left the business all to me, and that was the time where I started to build and earn my reputation. I rose to the top and became public enemy number 1. I became rich and my gang was earning 1 million a year, so I was living lavishly and happily.
One of the biggest events that occurred and the most infamous and unsolved crime was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929. It was told that they did not know who was responsible, but most people believed it was you. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how you have felt?
Unfortunately, Chicago was turning into a place full of gangs, so I see it as a threat to my business, especially the George Bugs Moran gang. They were my arch rival and they were competing us, and I didn't like it. I used my street smart and skills to take them down. I planned to catch them using my gang to act like policemen and pretend that they were arresting them. But little did they know it was my gang all along. All of them were brutally shot by my men, and I was delighted. But then I hear the news that the most important person of the gang, George Moran, was not dead. I was petrified. One of the reasons the crime was unsolved was because I was in Florida and because of my intelligence.
It must have been very tough Valentine's Day for people. What happened to you and your gang after the tragic massacre?
The usual stuff. We continue on our operations and continue to do well and make lots of money. But in 1930, an agent, Elliot Ness, investigated my business, completely shutting down many of my speakeasies and breweries.
In October 1931, you were convicted of tax evasion. Was that the cause of your downfall?
Yes, I was imprisoned to the most notorious jail in Atlanta, called Alcatraz, for 11 years, where I was completely isolated from the outside world. When I was set free in 1939, I already contracted syphilis and got dementia, so I couldn't return to the gang life. I'm just living my life in peace now.
Wow, what a tough and interesting life. You really have gone through hard experiences. Thank you for taking the time and giving us the chance to interview you. We are truly honored to get to hear your story.